Mm.
So, everybody, we're joined by an extremely special guest with us today, and it's none other than former Manchester United player Febian Brandy. Febian, how are you? All the best here. How's the family?
Yeah, I'm good, Simon. It's been a busy start to the year. But like I said, you can't really complain, especially in these crazy times that we're in. Busy is always it's always a good thing.
That's true. That's true. Keeping busy is important. So, just want to touch a little bit about, your journey and, of course, what you're doing now. So, to kick things off, of course, born in Money, but not many people know this, but you have some Jamaican heritage, isn't that so?
Yeah, well, yeah, half. Well, my mum, she was from Jamaica, from Kingston, and then I think she moved to Portmore at a very, very young age, and then she moved over to the UK. I'm gonna say around 10 or 11 she was when she moved over, so pretty young. But yeah, grandma from Jamaica, um, got cousins over in Jamaica, so yeah, the Jamaican heritage is there.
And growing up within the UK, would you say you experienced like a Jamaican culture, like the food, the music, anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. Because like as I'm saying, my mum, every Sunday, obviously, making making obviously Jamaican dishes and that, and listening to music and cleaning the house and just like well, my mum's side, that's where the Jamaican heritage comes from, my mum's side. But even like going to like my auntie's house, it was always a Jamaican vibe, full of cousins, full of music, full of everyone running around. So yeah, probably didn't experience the real Jamaican culture, like in obviously what's happening in Jamaica, but I did get a good amount of knowledge on like Jamaican upbringings and this and that.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good, man. So let's start, on the sporting aspect of things. Like growing up, was it always football? Did you play other sports in primary school, secondary school, or was it just always football for you?
Now, so with me, I was obviously playing in my Sunday league team. Age between 5 and 6 is probably when I really started to love football, if that makes sense. So I got signed for my Sunday league team, West End Boys, and not a lot of people know this, but when I was at my Sunday league team, Man City actually said, we want to kind of sign you at the age of 6 or 7, I think it was, and my the janitor at my primary school, he was a Man United scout at the time. So Man City went in to obviously watch me at these Sunday league teams, and they actually went into Man City for a couple of weeks, and they obviously wanted to keep me there. But I think because I was so young and I just wanted to, you know, play on the like the local park with my friends, I didn't really want to get involved in football. I knew I was talented, but I didn't really want to get involved with it deep. So then after 2 weeks, I just said to my mum, I said, "Nah, don't really want to go back to Man City." So then I carried on playing with my Sunday league team, and then maybe about a month after that, when it was about 7.5, Man United like came in and said, "Yeah, we kind of want you to sign." And then my mum and dad basically said, "Yeah, you're not getting out of this one." And then yeah, from then on, I was there for 14 years.
Quite a journey. I mean, the 14 years. I just want you to touch briefly about what that journey was like, being in the academy, the facility, the coaching staff, the players that you were mingling with, the entire experience that you had at United. Well, how would you sum up that journey that you had at Carrington?
Yeah, to be fair, so I started my journey at the Cliff. So that's like one of the first training grounds that it's in Man United's history. So I started off at the Cliff, probably from the age 7/8 to around 10, 11. And then when we were 10, 11, we moved to a place called Littleton Road. So we went to Littleton Road probably from the age 12 to about 14. And then from 14, we moved to Carrington. So my age group was actually one of the first age groups to kind of move over to Carrington. We were always on the first team side because the first team building got built first, and then they built the academy. Simultaneously, but the academy building, sorry, developed a little bit after the first team building. So yeah, I moved over to Carrington probably when I was around 14 years old. And yeah, it's just the journey from being at Man United, it is priceless, and probably some of my best footballing years, came at Man United. And I think, what kind of explains that is, when I was 15, Barcelona made they made £1 million bid for me to obviously take me over to Spain after I played in a tournament there. And so, well, to be fair, I wasn't even really phased of going over there. So I think it shows, how big Man United, was a club back then. Obviously, they're huge now. But for me and Sir Alex to kind of turn the deal down to go to Barcelona, it just shows how big of a club Man United is.
Yeah, spot on there. And I mean, you touched on the Gaffer. What was he like? Because we know him quite well for coming to academy games, having a quick chat with the youngsters. How was the
Mm.
interactions that, of course, that he had with you?
Yeah, with me, I think I was pretty lucky to be one of his prodigies to not get on it to not get on his bad side. So yeah, with me, he was a bit like a father figure to me. A lot of people used to, used to kind of joke and say, "Oh, your godfather's here," just like messing around, just because we had such a good relationship. Even a couple of years ago when my mum and dad passed, he reached out to me and sent his condolences. So it does go to show that he's a good man and he is supportive of the youth. And yeah, he was a bit of a hard nut, and he was a bit of a no nonsense manager. But I did think he had everyone's heart and best of interest.
Wow. It just shows, the type of person he was beyond football. Do you know what I mean? And, putting that into context, do you remember the first time that you trained with the first team, what that was like, the experience? Did persons come over to you, introduce themselves, shake your hand? What was that experience like training with the first team?
Yeah, so when we were at Carrington, when we were at the Cliff, we always used to see the first teamers like come over, but we were never really close to them. But then when we moved over to Carrington, because the academy was in the same building as the first teamers, we used to kind of see them up close, like really up close. And I think my first interaction of training with the first team, I think I was 15. I got called over to obviously train with the squad. And if you think this was the likes of, when Rooney was there, I think Ronaldo might have been there, Gary Neville, Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes. And I actually had a very, very good session. And I remember Gary Neville. There was a time where I was in the corner I think we did like a 7v7, and I was in the corner and I kind of held Gary Neville off. And after it, he said to me, he went, "You know what? You're very, very strong, and you're rapid." And that was when I was 15. And just to hear, that type of compliment at that age, it was refreshing. And it's something obviously that's sticks in my mind now. But yeah, like I said, those experiences, you can't really buy them, and they stay with you forever.
Yeah, truly, truly memorable experiences. I mean, based on your age group, you would have perhaps mingled with the likes of Daniel Welbeck and Fraser Campbell. What was that crop of players like being around and of course training with week in, week out?
Yeah, like I said, those players, like I said, your Danny Welbeck's, Fraser Campbell's, Tom Cleverley, what I mean, there's loads, James Chester. There's players there that have gone on. Well, to be fair, all of them, they've gone on to play for, the national teams. And I think, back then, looking back then of the team that we had, we did have a very, very, a very, very strong team, because maybe 98% of the youth teams that I was in, from under 18s to under 16s, I think the majority of them went on to either play championship or play Premier League, even play senior level for the international teams. So yeah, we did have a very, very strong academy side. And then going into the reserve side, you know, you had Fabio, Rafael, the Brazilian twins. We had Giuseppe Rossi. We had Gerard Piqué, you know, who was in there. You know, we've got World Cup winners in there. You know, so it does go to show that the standard, you know, back then, you know, it was incredible.
Yeah, certainly was when you look at the caliber players that you played and train with. And in that time frame, of course, you're playing with England youth teams as well. I wonder if it's possible to touch briefly on that story when John Barnes was the gaffer, the head coach of Jamaica, and
Yeah.
he had a chance to speak with you about Jamaica.
Yeah, so with me, I've always been involved. Well, back then I was always involved in like the England youth setup. So my first call up was under 14s when we went to a place called Lilleshall, where they kind of take, you know, the best kids around the around England to like a camp, and they kind of decide, you know, who's going to be the ones in the age group going forward. So I was, you know, selected to go to Lilleshall with a few other like Daniel Sturridges and stuff. Um, and yeah, I was in England from the under 14s up until like the under 20s. Um, and then I think it was in 2009, United got a call from, I think it was someone from the Jamaican Football Association, the Jamaican Federation, asking about my, wanted to call me up to a camp. And if it was the same time when I was heading to the under 20s World Cup with England. So the under 20s World Cup, it's kind of a tournament where, you know, Messi's played in it, you know, Ronaldo's played in it, you know, some big names have played in it. So, and it was going to be my first like World Cup, if you want to call it that, with like a national team. So I think it was a choice of getting called up to play for a friendly for Jamaica, or go to like this iconic under 20s tournament in Egypt. And you know, I had to choose, you know, the under 20 World Cup tournament. So it's a situation where, you know, what could have happened if, you know, I did go to obviously Jamaica and play for the Reggae Boys. But yeah, it's something where, you know, I do look back, and maybe my career might have been different, might have not been, but you know, my career is what it is, and you know, it is what it is. But it's just good to get that recognition from a young age.
Yeah, certainly. But even though you might not have done in the black, green, and gold as a player, you still did some good work behind the scenes as well. So just wanted to touch on the projects that you're working on right now and how, perhaps Jamaican players can be impacted by the work that you're doing right now.
Yeah, so my latest project, it's called Scouted. So it's a football app, a digital football app where football players can self-upload video footage of themselves to kind of get seen and scouted by professional football teams worldwide. I think currently now where we've been downloaded in around 88 countries. And I think the plan of the app is to kind of give football players that chance of getting seen. Because I think the idea, it's always been in the back of my mind, because when I was at Man United, I was always quite fortunate to get a contract every year for the next 14 years whilst I was there. And I had some friends who were obviously in my team, but they might have not had the ability to make it at Man United. They might have gone to a lesser club, but they didn't have the connections or any type of video footage to show other scouts and things. So I'm 34 now, but when I was 28, I kind of thought to myself, I need something that's going to bridge the gap, that's going to help players who are talented get seen by football clubs of around the world. And that's kind of why, I came up with Scouted. And I think what Scouted does do, it helps, whether it's a national team or whether it's a Premier League team or whether it's a Sunday League team, there's always a player out there for that respected team. And like I said, over the last, 3 to 4 months, we've actually helped, 7 players get into their respected national team who are just playing grassroots football. So it does go to show that, what we're doing does work. And, eventually we do want to hold a football showcase event in Jamaica, which obviously would help discover, the next best thing in Jamaica.
Yeah, that's an amazing project. And when you have more details on that, of course, keep me abreast of things as
Yeah.
usual, Vivian. I'm sure from time to time you pop your face in and out of Carrington, just want to know what your thoughts about, the academy lads that you see there, especially those of Jamaican heritage as well. Of course, you'd be aware of who are around the not only the academy but across the UK as well, a massive Jamaican community across the UK. So you see the quality and the talent that is around England by extension.
Yeah, like I said, there's the Jamaican heritage, in so many places, whether that's in Manchester and Leeds, in London, in Newcastle, and a lot of people don't know that there's these talented players that do have these Jamaican heritage. Like I said, there's a few at Man United now. There's a few at Newcastle Academy. There's a few at Man City's Academy, and not all these players are going to go and make it and play for England. So having the knowledge and being around these type of players, it is kind of good to have because I think if these players are scouted pretty early and you get them into your national pool pretty quickly, it can probably increase the pace of the players' development and it can improve like the Jamaican national team as well.
Yeah, well said. And just wanted you to touch briefly on, a former United player that's also within the national team as well, Deshan Bernard, and his journey from the United Academy and now playing international football and has cemented himself within the defense of Jamaica.
Yeah, so Deshaun, I've seen him throughout the basically throughout the United Academy, and he's always been one. He's a good centre back. He's a strong, powerful centre back, and I always thought he's going to have some sort of good career in football, whether that's at Man United or whether that's someone else. Because with me, I've played against a lot of players, and he's the type of centre back that you don't really want to come across, because he'll make it difficult for like strikers and stuff. So I do think for the Jamaican national team, he is he's a real addition, and I'm looking forward to see where his career would pan out in the near future.
Yeah. And finally, Fabian, I know you're extremely fond of your Jamaican heritage. I mean, we can hear and feel the love. And I'm sure at some point this calendar year you'd work on a Jamaican passport, out of, respect for your heritage and of course love for the island.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, it's it's always been a part of me. Like I said, it's my family, born and raised in Jamaica. Still got some family over there in Jamaica, and having obviously a Jamaican passport, that would be massive because what I want to do for the Jamaican community from a youth level, but then also a senior level. I'm obviously involved in football, and I want to help improve the Jamaican football development with just my knowledge of knowing around the world how many talented Jamaicans are out there, but also to kind of bring the Jamaican island to light and show the world of how talented players are there because there's a lot of scouts who who speak to me who say to me, oh, do you know such and such a body? Oh, they've got Jamaican heritage, and I'm like, yeah, I know they've got Jamaican heritage, but they've England are trying to get them kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I do want to obviously help the island, and like I said, it's a beautiful island, and to be connected with it, again, like I said, not just with a passport, but with improving the development of things and what I'm doing with Scouted, yeah, we are, concentrating on football, but we are looking to go into other sports, tennis, basketball, boxing. So as well, it's the Jamaican island. It's an island that's full, it's full of talent, and we just need to find these talent. But yeah, I'm glad that that I've got some heritage to be part of the Jamaican community.